Okay, let's talk about, I guess, building a like a proper fan base, like a cult fan base as an artist. It's not about posting like X amount of times on Instagram. It's not about the content strategy. However, it is about how you connect with people. And so it isn't about numbers, but it's about what you do with those numbers. And mainly it's about culture. Okay, it's about the level of culture you can create and cultivate, okay, and make people connect to. And so it's about creating like a little world, a little universe that people can like feel that they're a part of, and that people can have as part of their identity. Because people don't just want music, they want like a movement, they want the vibe, they want something that makes them feel heard, seen, related to, or whatever, something they can identify with. And having something to identify with, that is like what people want and look for in an artist. And that is like, if you manage to hit that perfectly and connect with that, that means you're gonna have very, very good chances of creating like a strong fan base at the end of the day. And that's the first thing, because like every song, every music, everything you make is not just music, it's a bigger thing. And it all comes into this big world that you're creating. You're building a culture, you know, every single thing you do. And you must understand that like every single action you take with your career and everything you post, it all comes together to build this world. And you want this world to be something that people can connect to, you know? And that means that it has to be cohesive, you know, everything needs to work together, everything needs to be like compatible. But not just compatible, it needs to like elevate each other, you know? You need to create stuff that together they elevate each other and it becomes better when you see the big picture. You need to make sure that the music videos, they're not just there to be there, but they're there to elevate the music. You give people something that elevates the experience and the world and the culture, you know. So it all needs to be cohesive, it needs to be coherent, it needs to work together, it needs to make sense to people, you know. People need to be able to understand it. And that doesn't mean that you overdo it or you overproduce stuff or you become this perfectionism. It just means that people need to feel like they step into a world, and that world needs to make sense. And it means that, you know, you don't have to make everything perfect. Just make it make sense, if you know what I'm saying. And so I'm talking about culture, because at the end of the day, it's not about numbers or content strategies. It's about creating a culture, a movement, whatever. And so, how do you even go about this? Like, what even is this? Well, first thing, I think you need to start to think about how it looks and the aesthetics, you know, the moods and the kind of ideas behind your music. So if you want to create a culture, I think the first three things: aesthetics, ideas, and emotions. Okay. So the first thing is pretty basic, just aesthetics, plainly and simple. Like, how does it look like? What does it look like? You know, what kind of colors do you want to, you know, represent your brand? What kind of imagery, what kind of places in the world would fit with your culture, your brand, whatever, you know? So I want you to really like make a mood board or whatever, you know, try and compile a bunch of pictures, colors, whatever that makes kind of your idea of your culture come to life, you know? I think a good way to start is just grab some pictures of Pinterest, go make a color palette, go think about your favorite movie scenes, whatever. Try and make like a vivid picture of the aesthetics of your world and your culture. And secondly, I want you to think about the ideas and the values, because at the end of the day, like a movement, a culture, it's always built upon. It's always going to be built upon like ideas and beliefs about the world. And so you need to think about like, what are your ideas and beliefs going to be? What is the ideas and values that you're going to have in your little thing, your brand? What is it built upon? What kind of ideas? How do you see the world, and how what things do you value? You know what I'm saying? And this sounds very vivid, but I mean, to try and take some examples. I mean, Drake, for example, I guess he values making money and hustling and going after the grind. You have someone like The Weeknd, probably values, you know, degeneracy and girls' future, whatever, you know. And you need to think about kind of what values and what ideas do you want to hold your brand towards. And then thirdly, the big one is the the mood, the emotion. Like what feeling? What's the main feeling in your brand? What's the main feeling that you want people to associate with your brand? And to think about this, I think this is emotion thing is the easiest. I feel like everyone who makes music, they have an idea, a main emotion, and it can be multiple emotions, but you have an idea of like what emotions your music connects to, and try and think and try and define that clearly. Like, what type of emotion do you want people to associate you with, and what do you want them to feel when they hear your shit? And so, to grind everything with like an emotion, it always works, because what's happening is people are gonna see you and they're easily gonna be able to like associate you with an emotion. They're easily gonna be able to recognize you and think, okay, this is the emotional payoff that I will get from listening to whoever's music. For example, if you're sad and go and listen to Adele, you know that you can go and listen to Adele to get the emotional payoff of sad music, and music that's gonna make you feel all right when you're sad. When you go to the gym and you turn on some heavy metal, you know that you're gonna get the emotional payoff of energy and something aggressive. And so, to have your, I guess, world and your brand built upon one emotion, it makes people like consistently understand and know what they can go to you for. People don't understand the value of just grounding it in one emotion. But yeah, that is just kind of how to create a culture firstly, because that is the first part. You need to understand what you're creating first yourself before you can get on other people to understand what you're making. And now we've done the hard thing of defining culture. What is culture? But the big one now is like, what things go into this? Because at the end of the day, you have your culture and you have your big thing, but that isn't enough, because you need to build on that now. And now that you have your culture, you need to start thinking about the next step, which is community. And community, it isn't just fans who just, and the big one is like, don't think about numbers, okay? Community isn't, at the beginning at least, it's not about numbers, it's not about streams, because at the end of the day, you don't want people who just listen to your music casually. You want participants, you want people who are actually active and actively care and actively engage, because there is a big difference between a fan who just has you on their playlist and someone who's actually actively engaging in like your community and is part of your culture and is like a big supporter. Because fans will listen at the end of the day. They might listen to your music and listen to your songs, but you just don't want that. That's not enough. If you want to build, like, this video is on building a cult fan base, and what you want is people who are participating. You want participants who are actively gonna engage in a community, who are actively gonna contribute. They're the ones who actually are gonna push your brand forward and who are gonna elevate you. And like at the end of the day, I mean, in the beginning, it's not gonna be crazy, but I mean, to try and think about this distinction between fans and actual like participants and people who are actually engaging and care, that is such a big move, especially when you're trying to scale it and when you're trying to grow it. Because yeah, it's just a key difference that you need to understand. And at the end of the day, you need to understand that these participants, they do so much, man. People who are actively engaging in your community. Try and stimulate that, okay? How can you do that? Well, I'm telling you, like, reach out to people who listen to your music. Follow back followers, DM them, post stuff, and ask for comments and DMs. And, like, what's gonna happen if you have participants is you're gonna get people who are gonna spread your music to their friends, who are gonna advocate your music to their friends, who are gonna create inside jokes and remix your stuff. So how do you do this? Well, you have to let participants become participants. You can't force it. You can't be controlling. You have to give people room to come to you and to be part of the culture. And then that is the important word, the culture. The way you get cult fans is by creating a culture. Culture. Like, you have to create a culture that attracts people, that is clear enough so that people can understand it and go into it and actually, follow and listen to it. And they need to feel not that, like fans. They can't feel like fans who follow someone, but they need to feel like it's an even ownership. They need to feel like it's their culture and it's their music and it's their brand as much as it's yours. And that's when you're gonna cultivate, I guess, a relationship where it's a movement, because everyone's gonna feel part of it. Everything's just gonna make sense, man. It's beautiful. And then I guess, yeah, you're not a dictator. You're just part of the crew, the movement together. That's the way. Like, that's the goal at the end of the day, man. You want people to just be part of the movement. So yeah, that is the community part, at least. So, and that brings us on to, I guess, almost the final thing, patience. And this is the word which comes up all the time. You probably don't want to hear this. You probably don't want to hear me talk about this. But at the end of the day, you need patience, because the big things and the best things in life, they are not built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, and especially not a big fan base. A big fan base will grow quietly, and it will stack over time steadily. And you need it to happen organically. You don't want it to happen through like one viral moment or a video, because at the end of the day, those kind of viral hits, they're fleeting. They always give you like a downwards momentum. You want something that lasts and that can build organically, slowly, steadily, but build up. If at least if you want like an actual like cult like fan base, it's gonna take a few months, years. Like at the end of the day, you look at everyone who's blown up fast. You know, it's fast and it's big, but it fades. And I guess that's a big takeaway. At the end of the day, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, because a true like cult-like following, it's built over years. It's built through shared, I guess, moments. It's built through repeated engagement and stories and shared experiences, and it's like the word being spread over and over again. You know, it's those small connections that happen one by one that create the foundation of like a cult-like fan base at the end of the day. And you know, you might have it happen pretty quick, but don't force it. And I guess that's a big takeaway. Don't force it, man. You need it to happen organically at the end of the day. You need people to come. And I've told you exactly how to create like a culture that will make people come to you. And it's about just remaining patient in that and trusting the process, I guess. So, yeah. I mean, that is what lasts, you know. That is what actually lasts. Something organic. And we're in a time, in a day and age where everything happens quickly, you know. Everything is fast-paced edits, short form content and whatnot. But I guess in this video, I've freaking no edits. Well, I've like stopped it and recorded again. But like what I'm trying to say is that like I've showed you, if you're watching this video, you probably have no problem with sitting through like a pretty decently long video and just listen to someone without any music or fast-paced edits. So listen, if you watch this far, I have firm belief that you're patient enough to actually stick it through and build something that lasts. So yeah, I guess don't think about followers, don't think about numbers, because you need to think about culture. Culture. That's the big word. That's the word of the day. Word of the century, probably even. You need to think about culture, community, and just identity, you know. Build a world, build a universe, and let people come to you. It's like the garden. You build a beautiful garden and butterflies are gonna come. So don't chase no trends. Don't try and get a viral video. Don't do that stupid shit, okay? Don't play the algorithm. Build something authentic, because something authentic is gonna allow you to work and do the work without it feeling like work. And at the end of the day, it's gonna lead to you doing more than the person who only chases the virality and the game, you know. And the rest is just, man, work hard like always. Yeah, I was gonna play something on the keyboard, but I can't be bothered. So have a good day, man. Take care. Peace.